Friend, you are in for a real treat. Today, I am taking you behind the scenes. You get a sneak peek at group coaching inside of the Better Than Basics Bootcamp. This was an event that I hosted this week for a small group of women who wanted to go a little deeper. They were action takers, ready to really finally nail down what their aesthetic was, to get a little help and a little clarity so that they could move forward into creating a plan. And boy, did we create a plan. This was so much fun to see the action from day 1 to day 3. And today you're getting a teeny tiny little bit of a taste of what it looks like to understand your aesthetic. It is the foundation to creating a beautiful, cohesive looking home. All of the pictures that you are drawn to on Instagram and Pinterest, they started here. Putting a little bit of work into understanding what it is you gravitate to time and time and time again. You hear me talking about it on the show often, and it's because it is that incredibly important. So enjoy today's show. Listen in as 2 of the women got a hot seat to really understand what made up and defined their aesthetic. And if you're thinking, shoot, I missed the opportunity, I should have signed up. Okay, yes, you probably should have. It was that good. But you don't have to wait until the next Better Than Basics Bootcamp. There are opportunities for you to learn your aesthetic, to receive group coaching throughout the Fig and Farm at Home product suite. There just are. You can sign up for a decorating SOS call. You can join the collective. All of those are opportunities for you to get the help that these women did. All right, listen in, enjoy today's show, and be inspired. We grew up with the phrase, home is where the heart is, but our culture has shifted and now the message is, home should be Pinterest perfect. I'm calling BS on that message. Home, it's not about the stuff, it's about the story. And whether you know it or not, your home is a reflection of you and is already saying something. So what is it that you want it to say? Hey, I'm Dani, a former first grade teacher turned home decorator. Going from a dual income to a single income so I could stay home with my babies meant budget, like ramen eating, Goodwill shopping budget. And I learned a few things along the way, like how to bring big style to your home without breaking the bank. And I'm sharing it all with you. Tips, tricks, decor, and design advice so you can learn to tell your story with your style. Where you can start living free from the Pinterest perfect trap and start living a life of intention. Welcome to Fig and Farm at Home, where we design happy living and where it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. Tell me, what did you think about finding your aesthetic? Did you learn anything new?
Just thought that you've taught me a little bit. It was a little easier to kind of nail down, where I want to go. So that was a little bit encouraging. Still a lot to learn, but it was neat to see the progress of things. Like I said on the homework, when I went to that Pinterest activity, I was like, oh, well, okay, I see what Dani means here a little bit. So
Good.
yeah, good.
Good. How about you, Alyssa?
I was surprised that the things that I was really drawn to like 2 years ago completely do not interest me anymore, which
Wow.
I was really surprised. Yeah. I don't know. I think Dani helped me change that, but yeah, I don't know. It was
Yeah.
nice to find out that I'm evolving or something.
Right, exactly. Well, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but this is a fluid process and it's not meant to be set in stone. So you will find, even if you do this again in 6 months, you will find that there's going to be something you learned, something different that pops up. How about you, Mikkel? Was this a new exercise for you?
It was, yeah. I mean, I had never really tried to pin it down, and I've been listening to all your courses, so I was kind of familiar with it. But it was hard. It was hard to like find like the exact inspiration photo that I was like, that's perfect, because I feel like I'm a blend, as we all are. So,
Mhm.
but yeah. Sorry.
Wonderful. Well, I have ready for you guys your homework. So what is going to happen today is we're going to go through and each of you are going to get a hot seat and we're going to go through what it was that you liked and didn't like, and you're able to share anything else that I might have missed. But then I have some observations too, because for each of you, I noticed a few things that you didn't necessarily highlight. And I wonder if you might have. And so we're going to talk about that to see if we can get a little bit more clarity on your aesthetic. Moving forward, that really is the foundation for absolutely everything that you bring into your home, right? It just helps lessen that decision overwhelm and the decision fatigue, all of those choices that feel so frustrating or daunting. And when you can then use that aesthetic as a filter for decision making, it becomes a lot easier. And then today's homework, we're going to build on that. You're going to learn a little bit about what makes a home cohesive and doing a little bit of hard work that I'm not going to be there for, but you're just going to get started on. That homework should be sitting in your inbox by the time this workshop is over. I am teaching you today too in that workshop how to create your mood board using Canva. So, okay, let's dive in. Alyssa, you are first. You
Oh,
are, yeah, yay you.
okay.
Okay, Alyssa, what we have here, the little pink dots are the things that you gravitated to in each of these.
Mhm.
Some of them are the ones that have been repeated within your pictures. And I think we're on to something. There was a revelation here for me with you and bringing color in, but we're going to talk about that. So one of the things that you were drawn to were the natural woods, the warm wood tones, the rattan. You really liked the dark contrast, the dark door frames. You,
Which I can't change, so
yeah.
on my house.
Well, you did your front door, right? Didn't you do your front door?
I did my front door. Oh, yes, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the things that you didn't like in this picture were the formal drapery and the lamp. You didn't care for that at all. And this lamp too. And I loved your comment, which was so very much Alyssa, was it's ugly, but I don't know why. Which honestly, it really doesn't matter if we don't know why. We just know
Right.
that there's a reaction to it,
Yeah.
and we want to pay attention to that. Okay, what am I missing on this? Was there anything else that oh, and you loved the neutrals. You really loved the neutrals, but in this one on the left, you felt like it was too neutral. Maybe even on this one on the right. You also
Yeah.
loved this artwork right here, that it
I
was
thought it was fun. I
different.
don't even know what it is, but
Yeah.
looks
But you
old, vintage or something. Yeah.
but you can tell that you can't get that at Target. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else? Was there anything else in here that the mirror you liked?
The loose or the more natural greenery and the terracotta.
Okay.
I think in that second one. In the first one, I liked the greenery in the background, but not the eucalyptus necessarily. I'm not just personal preference.
Yeah.
I liked the low stools in the first one because I don't know, it just keeps everything open, and the low chairs as well. But that's not really family room stuff, so or living room.
And that's okay, actually, because what we're noticing here is the warm wood tones. We're noticing that you liked the black furniture. I remember you saying too. And there are plenty of things here that you notice that even if we're looking at a dining room that you're not doing your living room, or which room are you doing? I didn't see which room you're doing.
Oh, well, I'm mostly just doing the entrance, which is super
Okay.
small, simple. And then I was just hoping to gain some confidence and adding some color
Okay.
everywhere. Every room looks about like very neutral, like almost like some of these pictures, but yet it just lacks something. So I was
Yeah.
hoping I'd figure it out.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then down here, there was actually more that you didn't like in this picture than what you did, but you did like the pop of color, the rattan touches, the black furniture, and then you liked this rustic bowl. What about this planter? I mean, I know you mentioned that the plants, it was just too much going on, but what about the planter itself?
I think it's okay. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't,
okay,
I don't know about those plants, but yeah, I think I like all the rustic stuff. Yeah.
okay, fantastic. Like kind of like the earthenware.
Earthen, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so here, Alyssa's my little guinea pig. This is how we're going to tie it all together. So what I wanted to see were what were the elements that you guys liked within each of those photos? What were the commonalities, the common denominator that went from room to room to room or picture to picture that are then repeated? And Alyssa really had a great sense of what those were, but she's also done a really good job. I mean, I know that she's also done some pre-work on all of this. And so these are the basics of and the basis of her aesthetic. Natural warm, and you can see the list right here. Natural warm wood, touches of rattan, a neutral color palette that is really more neutral than pops of color, black furniture, minimal, and I'm just gonna put a capital M there, minimal pops of color. But the ones that you were drawn to here, Alyssa, were the rust, the mustard, the browns, which is different than what it has been. Um,
Yes.
Natural greenery, dark wood framing the doors, and then of course I just added the other things that she liked too, some brass accents, atypical art, minimal things,
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
and
minimal.
the mirror. Okay, here are my observations, and I want to talk about this because these are the things that I noticed that were, of course, I noticed the ones that you did that were commonalities between the three, but I noticed some myself, and so I'm just
Oh,
gonna ask you some questions and see if this could be a clue to just going a little bit deeper and having a little bit more clarity with your aesthetic. So one of the things I noticed within, and just these two pictures, I noticed the light curvature, the really small curvature. You can see the curvature of these arms right here in the dining room chairs, the
yeah.
slight curvature in this, the slight curvature in the mirror,
Uh-huh.
and even in the brass stand. And so, and even in this picture, this slight curvature, and you didn't mention
Yeah.
these pieces of furniture themselves, but I noticed those subtle soft lines that are breaking up all kinds of rectangles. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, you're right. I think I really am more drawn to like the minimalistic, clean lines kind of stuff, but I think not enough to not have the curves. So it is kind of marrying the two for me. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I definitely, you're right. I do like a little more of an eclectic look too. Like I'm not really married to one specific, like just contemporary or whatever. Yeah, I kind of like a mixture with a little personality too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I noticed as well, and you'll see my word here, is bespoke, or
Oh,
um,
yeah.
just a little less commercial. So, these stools, for example, this is not something that this you would need to be hunted for, right? Maybe curated would be the other word rather than bespoke, but they're just a little bit more of that unique flair, something that is out of the norm just enough. Like the curvature of this coffee table, for example, and that artwork gave me the first clue. But even in some of the pieces that you had here, they're not things that we can walk into Home Goods and generally pick up, or walk into Target and generally pick up.
That's why I walk out with nothing most of the
Yeah.
time. I just go to the thrift store.
Yeah, yeah, yes, exactly. Thrift store, or you're so good at Facebook Marketplace, finding them there, treasures there. But those curated pieces take, of course, a little bit longer in order to
Uh-huh.
find,
Um,
because patience is inevitable with that.
yeah.
The other thing I noticed too for you is that neutral foundation, and then the high contrast between the whites and the darks, especially the dark door frame.
Yes.
Very, very high contrast. And then if I know lots of people like to have a label for their style or their aesthetic. And if I were to choose for you, of course, it's again my perspective, right? But based on what we have here, my thought would be transitional and bespoke, or transitional and curated. That would be what I would label you. But the other thing I'm noticing right now that I didn't put on here is, you had the earthenware. And right here, and you used the word rustic, but right here, I'm curious, this does read just a little bit more rustic to me. What do you think about rustic furniture? Like, how are you feeling about these two pieces that are a little bit more rustic?
I like rustic, but not like chippy. Like, you know what I mean? Like not like a dresser that's got all chipped paint or whatever. I used to kind of like that, but now I do like a little bit of rustic, but not very much. Just like one thing in a room maybe or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And like the earthenware would be enough for you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
probably. Yeah. Oh yeah. And for years we only bought rustic distressed furniture for our children to ruin even more. So
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And the chippiness that happens.
we still have a lot of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just old things. I love old things. That's why that lamp in that first picture, I like that lamp's shape and everything.
This one.
But for some reason, I think it would be more my style if it were like more of a earthenware type thing or
Oh,
something.
sure.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit rustic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more in alignment with this pot.
Yes.
One thing for you, Alyssa, that I think was revelation to me is that the pop of color, before there was kind of that, what about blue? And we had that moody,
Oh,
muted
yes.
idea. But what I noticed in here is that, well, there's no blues or greens or any other thing other than earth tones.
Sure.
What do you think about earth tones?
I think that's yeah, definitely. I thought it was interesting because I thought always that a velvet green was my absolute to die for thing that I would love, like velvet green chairs. But every single picture I saw that had velvet green I was just like, nope, I love green, but it is not, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
changed or it doesn't bring me into a room and make me want to hang out.
Yeah.
So it's more just those browns but I think I want to bring a little more into the rust mustard into the house eventually. And that's why I like that, actually the one with the crabs or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Pottery Barn, I think. I think it's a Pottery Barn picture. But I do like how they have the not super amount of pop of color, but it also matches the plain pillow. So it just feels like a nice, more, I don't know what it is, just subtle transition to color. Like you're not like having, oh, here's a big bright
Right.
yellow and here's a big bright rust and here's a big bright blue or whatever. It's just like, okay, these two match.
Right.
And I don't know, it just settled to me. So that was interesting to me because I was like, I can do that probably and not freak out too much about
And you make a good point because that really is a great gateway to adding color, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the word that you're not using is saturated color, those big bursts of like Sigrid's water bottle color that she just held up, that bright pink, like that is deep saturated hue. Yeah, that is, opposite of this, right? And when you transition from a really lovely light foundation and you had those big pops, which is a really lovely look, but not for everyone, this muted idea and this really subtle, not saturated hue is going to be a great transition for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And Pottery Barn does a really good job with that.
Do you think that mustard goes with that rust, or is that way too much? Like, oh, here my house is all fall colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I would combine them, and in your home, I don't think I would.
Okay.
I think I would choose one or the other. But the thing I love about the rust, and especially in your home, do you still have that camel color leather chair? Yeah.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
kind of has that warmth, just like the camel color. And so it'll be a natural transition into your space without feeling like it is matchy-matchy. It'll still feel like it's adding the cohesiveness, but it's not a direct tie and it's not as dark as your camel color chair.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. But with that note, could you have the mustard color seasonally and the rust color seasonally? Absolutely. Because you have such a strong foundation in your home.
Okay. And then what about black, like the darker pillows? I've never put real dark pillows on my cream couch. I just have cream pillow or like ivory pillows, whatever. Do you think the black works with does it pull in the black from the other stuff, do you think? Or I don't know.
I think I wouldn't have a strong black foundation. I think I would have maybe you could have little bits of black on the pillows, but I don't think I would do a solid black. I think that would be too sharp. But the black that you have is really kind of very similar to like this first picture here, where we see black and we see it in small ways. We see it around the door frame, around the chairs, around this little detail here. So in your home, unless you've changed it dramatically, like we've got those pops of black, but we don't want to overpower it with too many more big pieces.
That makes sense.
Little ones would be absolutely okay. Like piping around the edge of a pillow or an outline around, or a little stripe or something like that would be okay.
Okay.
Who's in the hot seat next? It is that time of year again where we are being asked by our sweet little ones or our sweet big ones what we might want for Mother's Day. And if you're anything like me, you have your tried and true favorites. Mine, a day off of cooking and cleaning or refereeing any fights amongst the boys, and a game of Skip-Bo with each and every single one of them. Pretty simple. And if you're anything like me, you're probably wanting to get something done on that honey-do list. yeah, just tack it on. That is something I want for Mother's Day. Wrap it up in a nice little bow. But friend, here's the thing. I know that sometimes Mother's Day is a time for you to take a little bit of time and pamper yourself. It's the time for you to honor that hard work that you've put into raising those sweet kiddos. And if you're ready for a different change, something other than a massage or a spa day, I have a treat just for you. All next week, Fig and Farm at Home is hosting a secret sale. It's a chance for you to take the next right step in creating the home that you love. So if you've been wanting to start, but you just don't know where, if you're tired of the confusion that comes with the myriad of choices you need to make, and if you're ready to finally say yes to creating the space that reflects your style, even if you don't know what it is, and that delights you, then friend, the secret sale might have something that can help. Without giving away too many details, I have multiple things hanging out inside of the secret sale at multiple different price points. Ways that you can take the next right step for you within your budget, helping you to accomplish the goals that you have in mind. Why is it secret? Well, because it's that good. You can get all the details by going to bit.ly/FF like Fig and Farm Secret 2025. That is bit.ly/FF Secret 2025. I'll see you next week. So you put your goals here. You wanted it to be elegantly beautiful, but comforting and calming. And sometimes you get stuck in decision fatigue and an overload of ideas. So, Mikkel, tell me a little bit about the stuckness. What have you tried before and what hasn't quite worked?
Gosh, well, I really love decorating and I spend a lot of time doing it, but I find it's just overwhelming. Like I'll go to the store and I'll buy like the stuff and then I'll bring it like all back. So my husband like laughs all the time that I do this. And yeah, and I have a hard time. I think I'm just changing styles. So I think because styles are changing a little bit. It was kind of like the Chip and Joanne thing for so many years, and now it's kind of getting a little more maximalist or traditional. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And not to say we have to follow trends, but that's a lot of what pops up. And
Right.
I would say that's probably more my style anyway. So I'm having fun with it, but it just gets confusing and overwhelming. And then you're dealing with all the stuff you have from before. And then you want to bring in all new stuff. And it's just like, oh my gosh, forget it. And
Yeah. I totally understand.
Forget it and let's go return it all. And yeah. But you make a good point. I mean, that is when those trends change on the bigger scale, that is what we see and what we're influenced by, even by pictures that we find on Pinterest or Instagram or what have you. But then when we go to the store for a refresh, there they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can be really, really frustrating. You have a very lovely aesthetic, I thought, Mikkel. So let's dive into what you noticed, and then I'll share my observations too. And then I'll have you speak to this if I miss anything. But a couple of the things that you really loved, you loved the bright white and then the contrast of the kind of deeper wood tones. You loved some of the gold. You mentioned gold, but I'm wondering if it's more brass accents.
Yeah.
Brass, okay. The blue and white, you liked the combo of the blue and white, and you even liked the combo with the blue and the green. And I'm curious if you liked the blue with the color green, like in this chair and the pillow, or if you liked the fresh greenery. Did you have a sense of that?
Oh, yeah, I do like fresh greenery. I do have a lot of plants all over my home. But yeah, and I also just like the green chair. I like the blue and green, like upholstered, just mixing them.
Okay. You liked this chair over here with the pattern, and you liked this chair over here with the pattern as well. The stripes. And if you are not able to see that, go ahead and maximize your guys' screen so you can see how cute they are.
Oh,
You didn't like this, and this was interesting because it did have kind of an Asian style to it. But the thing that I noticed that you did like were at least the design of the ginger jars, but ginger jars were appearing quite often, and that's an Asian influence. Do you like the ginger jars specifically?
It's funny. I try to use them in my home and I don't really like them in my house, but I love how like Southern traditional they are. So I know you're supposed to like them. And I guess I like them, but in my house, I'm like, they don't go. It just looks weird. I don't know. I'm not doing it right. So
yeah, you don't have to like them, even if you like the Southern charm. And that's interesting that you say that, because That is what I see when I look at this. There's kind of a Southern living vibe here. Same with in Susan's that we're going to get to in just a minute. Okay, you had one more picture. Let me go down to here real quick. And in this one, I highlighted a little bit of the brass right here on that frame. Another of the blue and the white. You liked how this was styled. I highlighted a brass accent here, and then the pattern of that couch as well. And the thing that you didn't like was this chair hanging out right here. The style, and did it look too formal to you, Mikkel?
Yeah, probably, which I guess I don't mind it, but it's just for our den, and I don't know if it would go in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the commonalities between the three were the patterned furniture, the blue and white decor. There were some bright white that did repeat itself, the dark wood accents, and then the things that I just added to it, but the brass, we like the brass in this one. The blues and the greens and the chair style, not necessarily this chair style, but the upholstered, the bigger ones. Okay, I had a lot of observations for you. Let's see what we pick up here. So some of the things that I noticed were within, and you really honestly captured the word, and that word was Southern. It feels like a very Southern home to me. And the things that make those so unique are the architectural details. And you had those in every single picture. The built-in, the coffered ceilings, even the molding around the pictures. But if we go down here, I don't know if you noticed the framework on above the mantle. All of those are, structural, but they were very present and strong within these pictures. The other thing too, I noticed that what looked like you like pattern mixing. How do you feel about pattern mixing?
I really do like that. Yeah. I think I'm trying to get more into like color and mixing patterns, and I just think it's fun.
And the thing about pattern mixing, and I know that you're inside of the collective. If you go, I think to October, I did a lesson on pattern mixing, but these two really follow the kind of the simple formula that I teach in there, and that is using a very subtle geometric shape, like in this case, stripes, in this case, very light check, and then you mix it with something that's just a little bit more prominent, maybe even a little bit more flowy. And in both of these cases, that was a really good example of that pattern mixing. So that is something I noticed. The other thing I noticed too was the shade of the lamps here, the sconce shade and this shade, and they're both, oh, and there's one in this picture as well, hanging out right here. All of those are slightly tapered. Just a little bit more empire, not as much barrel. What do you think about that, Mikkel?
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I do think I prefer the tapered lampshades. And it's funny though, because I have some drum lampshades that like this big floor lamp I just got from Pottery Barn, and it has the drum lampshade, and it's too late to return it. But I'm like, well, it's just going to have to mix the styles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer the
Okay.
Empire. What's the Empire?
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with that, just a side note tangent for you, is that you can mix those as long as there's some commonality between the other pieces you have in your home. So if that barrel or drum shade is white and you bring in something that is tapered and slightly white, maybe even the same metals, that's going to be, they're going to live harmoniously in that room.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing I noticed for you, and again, kind of going back to that Southern word, is the way the structure of these chairs, skirting aside, they all have some sort of rolledness to them. You can see the roll right here. You can see the roll arm here. And then even in this picture, which is more kind of in alignment with the one above it, you can see that slight roll. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that would make sense, because pretty much everything I buy, other than 2 chairs I got last year, they all have the rolled arms on the sofas. I'm like, yeah, and then like the nail heads.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't see nail.
I didn't notice that
in these, but you do nail head, you'd say, is part of your aesthetic?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, what else did I notice? The architectural detail, mixed patterns, high contrast. Oh, your high contrast is a little bit different than Alyssa's. Hers was kind of the white and the black. Yours was the white and the, I don't want to say antiqued wood, but that really lovely, warm, deep wood that is Not quite maple, definitely not cherry, but that warmth. The other thing I noticed, and I don't know what you think about this, but turned legs. So in this coffee table, even in this chair right here, there's a little bit of that, kind of fun antique turn. It's not really a turn, but I noticed it in this coffee table too. What do you think about the turned leg detailing?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't notice that either. Yeah, that's a commonality in that for sure.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Okay. Anything that isn't in these pictures that you think, oh, that's part of my aesthetic now that we're thinking about it, talking about it, that you would want to include here?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you covered a lot of it. Yeah.
I was curious about the rugs because the first one is just more of a natural, looks like a jute or something. And then the second is much more of a traditional looking one. I don't know what I can't see what the third one has, but I'm curious what you're more drawn to.
I did. Yeah. The jute, or this is the one. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't think that looks very comfortable. I mean, I think it's pretty, but I think I like the blue and the other one's patterns.
You could layer one on top of the jute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys ever walked on one of those with bare feet?
Yes.
They're one of those that it is definitely form over function for me personally. Like I can't walk outside with pebbles, it's just like, ouch, 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 ouch. I would be doing that every single time. But I do like the texture, and that is highly textural. And that's one other thing too. I'm glad you brought that up, Alyssa, because this one looks highly textural, even if it might be flat woven. It has that appearance that kind of like that jute or that sizzle rug. It has that same linear look. And that might be something to explore, Mikkel, because this one, you have two of those components right here that are very much in alignment with that texture and that linear visual texture. And then this one is very different. So a little additional homework for you. I would look into rugs and just kind of start thinking about getting some ideas very similar to this, what rugs you like, why you like them, and what are the commonalities between them.
Okay.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I just was thinking it's kind of in line with some of what you are already saying, but it just has this style to me speaks it's refined, but it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not overdone, which I think is kind of what she's looking for because she said warm, welcome.
Yours, I thought if we were to put a label on it, again, through my perspective, it would be traditional modern. Like I love that. Like we've got some of those traditional pieces, but it's not so traditional that it's doily based. It is now mixed with modern and gorgeous. And I would honestly put Southern traditional modern.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, real quick before you go, if you learned something new or found value in today's podcast, would you head over to iTunes to Fig and Farm at Home and leave a review and subscribe to the show? That would be awesome. And if you'd like to connect with my community of mamas who are learning to be intentional storytellers within their own homes, join us at bit.ly/design101 group. There's always more room at the table. See you soon.